started in the store where I worked, pretty much everybody, when you started out, you started in what they call the camera department, which is basically just the front of the store. And they called it the camera department because back then they had this little kiosk up front where if you had a film that you wanted to develop, this was back when people had cameras, you know, you had like the little 110 cameras, 35 millimeter cameras, and you would have film that you wanted to develop. It is really raining. There was a little kiosk by the front of the store, and so at this kiosk they had these envelopes, and they were self-sealing envelopes, and a pin on a little chain attached to the kiosk, and they had a little surface where you could put the envelope on the surface and write your name and address and phone number on it, and you would open the envelope and put your rolls of film down in the envelope, and then when you had it all done, you would tear off a tab on the envelope, and it would have a number. It was like a 6 or 7 digit number, and it was Kodak. So Kodak had these kiosks. Well, so this was up by the front registers in the store. We didn't really do a whole lot with the film development stuff. There was a guy that would come around every night, and he had this huge canvas bag, and he had a key, and he would unlock the back of the kiosk and take all the envelopes out and put them in this big bag, and then take them away to wherever they developed all that film. And then whenever he came by, he would also bring by the film that had been developed and was ready to be picked up and paid for. So he would have that in a separate box or bag or something, and we would take it, and then we would have to alphabetize it. We had these little plastic bins back behind the counter at the front, and you would organize it. So you had to alphabetize all these envelopes. So you would just go by the last name, and you would take this big stack, and you would have to just work it into the bins alphabetically. So if you worked in the front in the camera department, that was your job. So when the guy came around with the film, you would take it from him, and you would have to organize it alphabetically and put it in, and people would come by. Also, if you had free time, you got to organize shelves, and that was my first experience with organizing shelves, was working at Eckerd Trucks in Wilmington, and it was my favorite thing to do. I loved organizing shelves. Oh my gosh, so, and I would get kind of irritated because I would be right in the middle of it and I had to go back up front. Like, dang it, I was getting a little good rhythm going here, but I gotta go back up in front and ring people up. But also, if there were packs of pictures that had been there for a while, they all had a date on them, and you would go by the date. The ones that had been there longer, if you had free time, you could look up the phone number and call the people, like, hey, you know, your pictures are here, come pick them up. And sometimes people just never came back for their pictures. And if they stayed long enough, and we left them in the bins for, I mean, we gave them a pretty good long period of box. And he just, I don't know, he had this way, like he was very gentle. He would gently place the bags, and he would kind of do his hands like this on top of the bags, a little bit like pat the plastic. If I was organizing shelves and he was, oh, I would get the best ASMR from that. So when I'm organizing candy, I kind of try to do it the way Mark did it because it was really good. That was all he was good for, because other than that, I cannot stand him. But I liked to be nearby when he was putting out candy, because he would do it so gently. I don't know why he did that. I don't know if he was afraid of busting the bags open, but he would gently lay them down and position them on the shelf, and then he would just kind of pat them a little bit. Just, oh, I wish I could do it the way he did. It was so good. That was my favorite part of working in retail. The pay was certainly not my favorite part. The benefits were not my favorite part. The benefits were non-existent. They were literally non-existent. So I want to say one thing though. I should have said this right up front. If you work in retail, you have my utmost respect. I could not put up with what you have to put up with every day. I see what you have to deal with, and I have so much respect for you. I could not. I would have gotten fired so long ago, because as I've gotten older, I find it's harder to keep quiet when people are just being ridiculous. So, and I know people are awful, and I think people have just gotten worse over the years about just being so rude and disrespectful to employees or wait staff, like in restaurants and stuff, and retail workers. I mean, I've seen it myself. It's so awful the way people treat employees in these establishments, and it just boils my blood. Like, personally, my opinion, I think everybody should have to work full time for at least 30 days in either retail or food service. I do. I think you should have to pick. You either work and like as a server or work in retail 30 days, like full time, 40-hour weeks, 4 weeks, or whatever that works out to, 4.5 weeks. I think it would really provide an attitude adjustment for a lot of people who need it. You can tell people who have never worked a job like that, because they are the worst. So I just wanted to say, my hat's off to you if you work in retail or food service. I have so much respect for you. I really do. And thank you for what you do. Thank you for being there and doing what you do, because, you know, you are very important to our everyday lives, and people do not give you the respect that you deserve, and I am sorry about that. It is a very tough job. Now, I've never worked food service, although I did work in a McDonald's for like 3 weeks. I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I could not deal with the customers. They were so awful. I absolutely hated that job. So I had been working at this little mom and pop grocery store. I went back there and I begged for my job back, and they gave me my job back. Like, thank you. I made like $1 an hour more at McDonald's, but I hated that job so much. I could not stand that job. So if you work, whether you work in a restaurant or fast food, I've never worked in a restaurant, but I have seen people be just awful to servers. Now, for me personally, if I went to a restaurant, and like say if I was on a date or something, and the person was rude to the server, I would never go out with that person again. I would never, because there's no excuse for it. It says more about you if you are rude to, like, I mean, anybody in a restaurant like that. If you're being rude and you're just trying, what are you trying to show off? I don't know, but it really says a lot about a person. So no, I would not go out with them again. I certainly would not go to a restaurant with them ever again. So yeah, it's I have a lot of respect, is what I'm saying. I have a lot of respect for you if you do that. So, my God. And people, see, back when I worked in retail, there were cell phones, but most people didn't have cell phones. They certainly didn't have them when you were trying comments saying that he needed to smile more. I didn't know that was a thing guys got, but he had multiple people go to his manager and complain that he wasn't smiling enough, and he just seemed rude because he wasn't smiling. Like, really? Wow, that's crazy. But you can always tell people who have never had to work a job like that, just the attitude they have. So I would just ask, if you've never worked in retail, show a little grace, have a little patience. I know we're all busy, we're all trying to hurry, and we get so used to trying to hurry all the time that when we get into a store, we keep trying to hurry and we don't have any patience for anything. Or one thing I dealt with when I worked in retail, pretty much, and I really experienced it when I worked at Eckerd's in Wilmington, because I worked in that store for 3 years. I started out in the camera department, and then I ended up back in the pharmacy department for about a year and a half. I worked up front, and then the second year and a half I was working back in the pharmacy, because the lady that was back there that worked evenings moved away, so they offered it to me, and I said absolutely. You get to wear the little white zip-up jacket thing, and that's where I learned a whole lot about medications and stuff that we go over when we organize stuff. I learned a lot just listening to the pharmacist talk to people. But one thing I didn't like was the Eckerd's that I worked at. It's Eckerd with no S, but I always end up adding an S to it. Eckerd. Jack Eckerd was the owner, and he was from Florida. Anyway, I worked evenings and weekends and holidays. So a typical shift for me might be 5 to 11 or 5 to 12. And I was in college, so I would schedule all my classes in the mornings. But one of the reasons I stayed there was because they were willing to work with my schedule every semester. So if I had a semester where I had to have an evening class, they would just work around it for my schedule, so it was no big deal. And that's the main reason why I stayed. The pay was terrible. And I hated working with that guy, Mark. He worked pretty much every night, and he was very, very inappropriate. He would just make really suggestive, lewd comments, and he would comment on what I was wearing, or it was really just wrong. Yeah. But back then, if I had reported him, something might have happened. I doubt it. But, it's not like it is now where you can actually, stop them from talking to you that way. But this was back in the 90s, early 90s, and they didn't really worry about it. Anyway, the thing I didn't like about working there, though, was that working there in the evenings, so people were coming in after work, and this Eckerd was kind of right next to this kind of bougie upper middle class development, like this little neighborhood or whatever, like these So I would go around the entire store and pull it all down. And then I would go around one more time to make sure I got them all. Then I would take the new, so I'd have a stack of sales, little cards that I was going to put on clips and put in front of the items that were for sale for the following. And I would go around and put those little clips up, and then I had a little pricing gun that would do the yellow sales stickers, and you would have the little dial turn it to the price, the sale price. And I would put some, put the little sale stickers on, like 4 or 5, the item, whatever it was, right at the front. And I kind of had to organize the shelves a little bit as I went to make it look nice. Well, that was my thing. I had to do that, but I did. And so I would go around and price the stuff. Now, did this take 8 hours? No, it didn't. I got a lunch break in there for 30 minutes or whatever. It didn't take all day, but on over in the afternoon, it would get busier. So after I was done setting the sale, if it was needed, I could go help run the register, and I would run the register too with the morning person up front or the person in pharmacy if they wanted to take their lunch break. I would go relieve them so they could go take a 15-minute break or their 30-minute lunch or whatever. So I would cover for them while I was there and work on putting out the sales stuff, the sales signs and the little stickers as well. I actually got in trouble one day when I was doing that. I got in trouble. I think I was just feeling extra salty that day or something, but so I'm putting out, so I had finished taking down the old tags, and I was putting up the new tags and putting prices, the new prices on stuff. So I'm doing this, right? I've got my Eckerd cart shopping basket on my arm. I have on my Eckerd smock with my Eckerd name tag on it. I'm putting out Eckerd sales signs with an Eckerd pricing gun, putting Eckerd sales prices on the items. So I'm doing this. This woman comes up to me and she goes, "Do you hear?" I just looked over at her and I said, "No." And I just went right back to work. She went and told the manager. She went and found the manager and complained. I got written up for insubordination or something. I don't know. Like, dude, I'm sorry. That was a stupid question. It was a stupid question. So I got in a little bit of trouble. I mean, nothing happened to me, but I thought it was hilarious. I wasn't even worried about it. Like, there was another manager, his name was John, and he was working that day. I said, "John, that was a stupid question. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. That was a stupid question." But I really love setting the sale. That's one of my favorite things. Now, usually, if a customer came and asked me, "Hey, can you help me find such and such?" Absolutely, no problem. No problem at all. But I got asked a lot, "Do you work here?" And I never quite figured that out. Like, no, I dress like this for fun. I'm a rich millionaire. I just come in here and do this. asking me to help them find something. Now, mind you, this Dollar Tree was like this big. You could see everything from any point in the store. And these people I could not, I can't go back there. I spent so much time trying to help people find stuff. I could not get the video done. I mean, I finally did, but it was a lot shorter than I thought it would be. The video itself was only like 20 minutes, and I was there for, I'd say, at least an hour. But I spent most of my time helping people find stuff. I have never experienced anything like that. It was crazy. It was just person after person after person. Like, I could not organize. These people are lost, man. One thing, when I worked in the Eckerd Inn, I really noticed this there. Not sure why, but a lot of elderly people would come in, and especially the older ladies, they would come in, and especially when I was working up front, bless their hearts, these older ladies would come in, and they would want me to walk through the store with them, and like, I can't. They would come in with this little shopping list, and they get their little cart, and they would come, down, man, can you help me? I've got this list of stuff here that I need to buy, and they would want me to go through the store with them and help them shop, but I couldn't. I mean, I'm running the register up here. I can't, and I really wanted to. I would rather walk through the store with Beatrice and help her with her list, the shaky handwriting. I would rather help her than ring up jerks at the register complaining about something being on sale. I would rather help Beatrice with her list. Unfortunately, I would have to tell them, ma'am, I'm so sorry, sir. There'd be older men that would do it too, but I'm sorry. I have to stay up front. One thing that was good about Mark, though, I have to give him credit for something. Other than being really good at putting out those big bags of plastic candy, the plastic wrapped candies. So I was the one who set the sale every week. So I knew it was on sale, it wasn't, and we would have items in different sizes. I would know which size was on sale, but we didn't have scanners, so you had to manually type in the price. It also meant that every item had to have a price sticker on it because you had to type in the price. The good thing was I came from another store where I had to manually type in the price, so I was really fast at keying in prices on the register. It was no problem. Anyway, these bougie women I was telling you about, oh my god, they would come in, and they did this so often. So, like, say a 4-ounce bottle of lotion was on sale, 99 cents. They would pick up the 8-ounce bottle and bring it up front, and its regular price, $5 or whatever. They would get mad and say, oh no, that's 99 cents. No ma'am, the smaller one is 99 cents. No, it's not. This one's 99 cents. And we would discuss it. Let me speak to your manager. Okay, so I would call Mark up front. Mark, come up front. Like, I don't get paid enough to deal with you. I was making $4.20 an hour. $4.20. I make $4.20 an hour. I do not make enough to deal with these people. So Mark would come over. Now, what's going on? This girl here said this was not on sale for 99 cents. He said, well, it's not. The small size is 99 cents, not the big one. Well, do you have any idea how much I spend in this store? Do you have any idea who I am? Do you know who my husband is? Like that, it doesn't have anything to do with the price of this item, ma'am. So he would actually kind of stand up to the customers, like he would back you up. The other manager that works sometimes, his attitude was more like, just give the customer whatever they want so they leave. is. I know that. Just give it to her. Just get her out of here. She's making a scene. I don't care. But, yeah, I really did not like dealing with customers. And I think it's only gotten worse since I had to do it. I think people they're more entitled, they're more impatient than they were back when I used to work in retail. So, yeah, after I left the Eckerd's in Greensboro, that was the last time I worked in retail. Wow, it's been a long time. I didn't realize until just now how long it had been. It's been quite a while. So then I worked in a hospital pharmacy, and then I did social work, and then I did document management company or facilities that want to be part of FDA studies. And then I got a job in a law firm, and so yeah, I haven't been back to retail. I don't miss it. I mean, the way I feel about it, you're not too good for any job. And that's what my parents always told me growing up. Two things. If you want something, you gotta be willing to work. It is not gonna be handed to you. You're gonna have to work for it. And you are not too good for any job. If you need a job, take whatever you can get. Not too good to do that. No. And you do what is asked of you. And you bring dignity to the job. You do the job to your best ability. And if you don't like the job, stay there until you have another job. Don't just quit. You need to already have something else lined up before. And always give 2 weeks notice. I've always done that every year I've worked. I've always given 2 weeks, at least 2 weeks notice. When I left hospital pharmacy to go to social work, I gave them like a month's notice actually, because they weren't ready for me to start right away. So I was able to give them like 30 days notice. It's really good. But working in retail, if you've never done it, okay, if you've never done it, you only really see one side of it. Well, not even one side, you see one little sliver of what it is to work in retail. You don't see all the things that this person has to do. You don't see all the things this person has to put up, not just from customers, but from the higher ups, their supervisors, and the people above them. That you have to put up with a lot from them sometimes. And just the corporate BS that you have to tolerate sometimes, and the stupid meetings you have to go to, the training. Oh, it will just kill you inside. So it is not easy. It is not an easy job. I know you come into a place and you see these people and you think, oh, God is so good. They got it so good. What are they complaining about? You don't. You cannot fully appreciate what it is like until you actually do it. So I worked in retail. I started working until I was 16. So I worked in retail until I was, oh my gosh, 16. And my freshman year of college, I did not have a job. For part of that year, so the fall of 91 up through May of 92, I did get a full-time job at a factory after I finished my freshman year. And I got a car. Because I didn't have a car. I didn't have a way to get anywhere. I was not able to get a job on campus doing like work study or whatever. All those were taken. I didn't have a shot at one of those. But other than that period of time, I have worked since I turned 16. And I'm 51. But so 16 to 18, then like 18, part of 18, there was a chunk there to the factory. It was only like 3 months, and then I went to school. Up until I was 20, did I get the social work job? Oh my gosh, 23, 20. So I spent a number of years working in retail. I don't know what the exact amount is, but long enough to know that it's tough. You're on your feet all day long. It is so hard sometimes to try to be nice and patient. Really difficult customers, and you can't say the stuff that you want to say. And some people, because they know you can't say what you really want to say, you can't knock them boss would get onto you. So there's no need for this attitude. If you had a bad day at work, don't go into your local retail store and take it out on an employee. It had nothing to do with it. Go in there and be polite. Take your manners with you into the store and behave like your mama taught you to, or should have taught you to. Go in there and act like you got some sense, and it will be greatly appreciated. It's not easy. It's tough. Would I want to go back to it? No. Would I go back to it? Absolutely. If I needed money, like if I needed to support myself and or my family, absolutely. Oh, in a heartbeat, I would go back to it. If I had to, I'd sure, because as I said, I'm not too good for any job. I worked for a little while as a janitor when I was in college. I was between jobs, and it was a temporary thing. It was actually in Laney High School where Michael Jordan went to school. I was a janitor there for like 3 weeks because I needed money, and I was, like I said, I was between jobs, so I did it. I don't care. It was actually not that hard. It was actually not bad. The funny thing was, though, I looked very young because I was young. I was like 19, and the students, they thought I was one of the students. Like, what the hell did she do while they got her scrubbing toilets? Oh, it's funny. Nobody said anything to me, but they're just like whispering and looking at each other like, the hell did she do? They got her in here cleaning the bathroom. I know the janitor was out on medical leave, the one that was normally there in the evenings or in the afternoons. So it was like an afternoon/evening kind of thing. So I went to this temp agency and this job. The pay was pretty good, actually, but it was a short term because he was only going to be out. It was like 3 weeks, and he was going to be back. But yeah, I don't care. I'll do any job. I do not care. I've worked in factories. I've done retail. Now I have had office jobs exclusively since 2000, so 25 years of that. So I prefer that. It's much better. But if all you've ever done, if you've never had to work with the general public before, oh, it's Jumanji out there. Just have a little patience, for heaven's sake. Just please. Next time you go into a store, feel like being a jerk. How about you just don't? How about you just don't? And don't ever say the customer is always right ever again, because that's BS and you know it. You know you're wrong. So I've done it. I respect anybody who does, especially these days. People are so awful. I know I've personally witnessed people just being so terrible, like to cashiers or servers, and it just infuriates me because they know the person can't fight back. slammed all day long. Can you guess what we sold the most on Christmas Day? What were people running in there to buy? And they'd come in their pajamas or whatever. Like, what do you think they came in to buy? Batteries and tape, like scotch tape. Batteries, because they had presents for their kids and forgot the batteries. And most people who came in were so grateful that we were open. Like, thank God, because I bought this toy and I forgot the freaking batteries. So we would always stock up on batteries before Christmas Day. We would sell out. We would sell every battery. By the end of the day, they were all gone. And tape, scotch tape. People bought a lot of tape. I guess they had wrapping paper with tape. I don't know. We didn't sell much wrapping paper. We sell a ton of scotch tape. It was ridiculous. And people were, they were so grateful that we were open. And most people were in a really good mood because they were so happy. Thank God, I can get these batteries and my kid can enjoy their toys. They were so happy. It was a fun day to work. And also, employees from other stores in town would also volunteer. So you actually got to work with different people. And there were 3 Christmases in a row that I would work with people from stores. Like, hey, I made friends doing that. And the whole atmosphere in the store was like a party all day long. It wasn't really like, it was a lot of fun. And so we were open 9 to 5 Christmas Day. There was this one lady every year, this lady would come in and we would try to catch her before she would do this. She would come in and get a cart and start filling it with Christmas stuff. And if you didn't catch her, she would get a huge cart loaded up with Christmas stuff, all the Christmas stuff. And she would bring it up to the front and insist, no, this stuff is half price. No, ma'am, it'll be half price tomorrow. After Christmas. Well, see, her argument was Christmas was at midnight. It is now technically after Christmas, so this stuff is half price. And we would have to get the manager involved that's probably her. She's probably dead now and she's complaining. You should have given it to me for half price. We never did, because Mark worked all 3 of those Christmases and he wasn't having it. He said, no, ma'am, we go through this every year. That stuff will be half price at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning when we open. You can come back and buy it then. I am not selling you this for half price today. But it's after Christmas. Christmas was at midnight, and she would just argue. And it's like, ma'am, it's Christmas now. Go home and enjoy it. For heaven's sake, you're missing Christmas to stand in here and argue about this. Go home and enjoy Christmas, for heaven's sake. One year we caught her. She came in. I remember because I saw her getting a cart, and I'm like, Mark, dude, it's that lady. And he just went and immediately confronted her. And they had a little argument about the carts, but she just left. She didn't get her cart full of stuff. It was so ridiculous. Like, it's Christmas and you're missing it to stand in Eckert's and argue with us. How silly. Why are you buying stuff for next year when you're not even enjoying crap you bought for this year? Anyway, it was always a great day. It was a great day. I really enjoyed that. I love those Christmas days. Because, most people, again, were really grateful and happy that we were open, because we were pretty much the only store open in town. Gas stations. So, they were really grateful. And then, so we would close at 5, and we'd get everybody out of the store. And then we would have all these perfume sets and gift sets, and we would go around, and we would each get a little pricing gun with these purple stickers, these 50% off stickers, and we would all price the gift sets that were left over at half price, so that when they opened the next morning, there were always a lot of people waiting to flood in and buy that stuff. So it also frustrating times. I didn't make much money, but yeah, it's better than nothing, I guess. It's definitely an experience, and it humbles you, and it kind of gives you a little bit of perspective. And I think it affects the way I treat people who work in retail. Myself, I try to be understanding, and I try to that's a little place on. It's not a critter. Come here. It's a little place on the wall. Anyway, I try to be understanding when it comes to a retail employees. I try to be nice. I try to be considerate because I remember what it's like to be on the other side of that register. I really do, even though it was years ago. I still remember what that was like. And I try to be patient and considerate. I just wish